All right, welcome back, YouTube, to another episode of My History of. With our friend today, the Sega Genesis. Not sure how well you can see it down here because it's got all the, as the angry video game nerd would call it, the life support devices attached to it. There is a Model 1 Sega CD and a 32X, but this is a Model 1 Sega Genesis with the high definition graphics written on top and the non-TM, I believe it's TMSS version. So it, from what I understand, the best model of Genesis, because you're able to get around some of the I guess region locking and things that Sega put in with that TMSS chip or system, and it's got the really good sound. So I searched for one of these for a little bit and managed to get one. Well, not really. I came upon one by accident, but I'll get into that in a little bit. So anyway, so today we're going to do the Sega Genesis as well as a job update. Applied for 2 today, applied for 1 yesterday. Was really disappointed today. I applied for 1, said they looked at it real quick and got back to me real fast that you're not, we're not, essentially no. And I was like, wow, that was incredibly quick. All these other ones I've applied for, it's been weeks, at least 2 weeks in some cases, or a week, and I haven't heard anything still. And so I did have someone I talked to, and they did mention they're all using AI now. I mean, what kind of world do we live in when we're judging and viewing people off of AI and not off who they are? I mean, I don't know. That's just my thought, but it's really disappointing. Anyway, I'm going to continue to search. I may have to, look into that as a necessary evil. But for now, let's talk about my history with the Sega Genesis and sort of my thoughts on this system. So the Genesis, growing up, I did hear and know about this system. I remember hearing about it coming out. I had the NES at the time. But the first time I saw one, my neighbor, John, he always had all the new cool stuff. He had one, and I remember he got Sonic the Hedgehog 1. And I remember coming to his house, we'd always play NES, and he had this new machine, and he put it on, and, in my life, I think I've been, truly blown away 3 times in gaming, and I'll talk about each one of those as they come up. This was one of those 3 times. The first time I saw and heard Sonic the Hedgehog running, I was absolutely blown away. You got to remember, I was coming off the NES. I had the NES. I was used to what the NES looked and sounded like, and all that color and all that sound that Sonic was putting out and the speed. I was floored. Completely flat. I didn't think games could look like that or sound like that. I remember when I went over, I always wanted to play it. I just don't think I knew how hard it was because we didn't play it too often. He had a couple other games along with that one as well. He had Mickey Mouse Castle of Illusion, which is a great game. And he also had Hellfire, which is a really good shooter. And so that's where I first experienced it, at his house, playing it here and there. When I look back, I don't remember us playing. Oh, you know what? He had Golden Axe also. Golden Axe, I have such good memories playing Golden Axe with him. Yes, that was so much fun. The music and just the sounds the characters made, just hilarious. When they would die, or the little guy that you'd hit to get the potion from. But so yeah, those are kind of my memories playing that at his house. Sometime later on, his Model 1 disappeared, and I saw a Model 2 replace it. I never knew what happened to that Model 1, but I do remember that happening. The other friend I had who had a Genesis was actually my friend Brad, who I met in elementary school. And, I'd go to his house, and I think I spoke about him in my NES video, how he kind of introduced me to Dragon Warrior, essentially, and on his NES. Well, I would say his Genesis was probably the main thing we played. His N64 as well, but on his Genesis, I'd go over to his house and he had Sonic 2, Sonic and Knuckles. He also had the Tasmanian Devil game, which I remember being fun, like the first couple levels, but then it started to get pretty rough. He had Sonic Spinball. I loved the music. The game was so-so. And he also had TMNT Tournament Fighters, which we played. And I always had fun playing when it was me and him, although I'd lose all the time. I was no good at that version. But man, when you would play against the computer, the arcade, that game was just punishing. It was so brutal. He actually also did have Aladdin as well. Now, me growing up, I played the Super Nintendo Aladdin because I had that. I was a Super Nintendo guy. So when I played this one, I wasn't a huge fan of it at first because it's so different. You know, I like the platforming and just the Capcom style. This was so different. This is harder to me. But he had that as well. So we were playing a good little variety of games over at his house. When I'd spend the night or hang out, amongst everything else we were doing. Beyond that, some other memories of the Genesis I remember is, man, the ad campaigns. I miss that stuff. Like, I know we're all supposed to be friendly and this, that, and the other, but there were no ads like those Sega ads. They were so funny with just how crazy they were. You know, that Genesis does what Nintendo don't. Or the one with crying Mario, or like the Mario Kart one where it shows the race car going and the Mario Kart was real slow. I love those commercials. Sega, I wish you were in the console business just so I could see commercials like that again. Anyway, I remember the ad campaign. They were so in your face, comparing themselves to Nintendo. But growing up and being in school, and again, I was born in '84, so when Genesis came out to when it was popular, I was in elementary school. And, I did not hear a lot of the console war stuff back then. I wasn't like, oh, I got a Super Nintendo, or, oh, I was kind of just appreciative and liked it all. I was a little more envious. I was like, man, I wish I had one of those to go along with my Super Nintendo. I just was there to have fun and play and hang out, But beyond that, that was kind of my history and period of the time when it was out and kind of some of my memories of it. Later on, because I never got one till many years later, it was probably like maybe 2016 when I got a Sega Genesis or something like that. It was really way later. And it's funny, I got one not for the Sega Genesis. I actually got it for the Sega CD. I know I'd mentioned my favorite games of all time were Lunar and Lunar 2. Well, when YouTube, when I started seeing YouTube and videos and, I'd been collecting for a little while, I was really interested in the Sega CD stuff and the 32X, strangely enough. The Genesis was just kind of a necessary thing I needed to play these other games. And so I remember I went to my local game shops, and there was this game shop that used to be here in Round Rock / North Austin called Apollo Games. And I remember I went in there one day, and the gentleman that owned the shop, his name was Parker. Cool dude. He had a in-the-box Model 1 Sega CD. And I think at the time it was like somewhere between, I want to say it was $300. I don't remember, but I remember hearing stories that the Model 1 was really hard to find, and I had never seen one in the box ever in my whole time I've been out hunting or any of that stuff. So I really wanted it. And so I picked it up, and I remember thinking when I did, well, I'm going to have to find a Genesis now. And then when I saw it, it had the Genesis with it. Now, it was a Model 1 with the high definition graphics and all that sort of stuff, which I didn't know about any of that at the time. So I remember I got it home, hooked it up, and the first game I bought from Parker is the one you see here, Aladdin. This was my very first game for the Genesis. And I do. I have come to really enjoy this game. The music is good. The animation is good. I still don't like it as much as the Capcom Super Nintendo one, but I do like it a lot. It is beautiful and a lot of fun. Just takes some practice. It's kind of a tough game. But so I was playing that, and I noticed the colors were kind of off from what I saw online. They were kind of like the whites were tinted yellow, and I couldn't understand why. So I went to Parker, told him about it. He tried to look at it, couldn't figure it out, didn't know. And so I went to Game Over, as I usually do, just game hunting. And there was this guy that used to work there, a big, heavy-set guy, long hair, real cool guy. I used to talk to him all the time. And I told him what was going on with it. He was so cool. He said, wait here. He found the exact model of Genesis I had that they had, and he just swapped shells. He gave me their Genesis, but with my shell, because the shell was real clean and nice that I had, and just swapped it over for free. So, hey, shout out to Game Over. You know, I've been shopping there. I think I mentioned it in my NES video since, like, gosh, for years, since before 2010. I know some of the prices can be expensive, but hey, be loyal. They'll take care of you there. They really will. And he did that day. It was incredible. And so after that, got it home, and then, you know, like I said, I bought it mostly for the 32X and Sega CD. And so I, you know, ended up later getting a 32X, and I was collecting games, and I would just pick up Genesis stuff once in a while. You know, I remember a period where I had more Sega CD and 32X games than I did Genesis, which I know it's unbelievable, but that's just kind of where I was. Now that's not the case. I've really gotten into the system over the years. And so, yeah, I'll talk about, as I normally do, some of my favorites, some of my rares. Of course, the accessories. First, let's start with the controller here. This is the one it came with. This is actually my only big 3-button controller. I do like this controller. You know, it's nice, big in the hands, feels comfortable. And, you know, coming off the NES, this was good. But when the Super Nintendo came out, you know, having the, gosh, 6, 8 buttons, counting select and start, especially for fighting games or anything you really needed those buttons for, it really made a difference. So they would later come out with the 6-button controller. And this is my preferred controller. Like, I only have one of these. I have several of these. This is more comfortable for me. I love the button layout. I'm a huge fan of the Sega Saturn, and we'll get into that system later. This is essentially mostly a Saturn controller, and the Saturn really got its inspiration from this for the Model 2. But love this controller. Works really well with all the games for all 3 systems. I believe there are some games that won't work with it, and you have to press the mode button to make it like a 3-button, or just use that. But I do really, really like this controller. And personally, I recommend this just because, you know, it's you just get the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Not diversity, but it'll, you know, you'll be able to play all the fighting games comfortably with it. And so, yeah, I definitely recommend this controller. Another accessory I got, and I'm going to talk about one accessory with the Sega CD and one with the 32X. They're for the Genesis as well, but I used them more with games on those systems. So you'll see like one with each, just as a heads up. The one I chose for the Genesis was actually the tap, the multi-tap here. And I can't remember the exact name for this thing, but I picked this up mostly again for my Sega CD because I have NHL 94. And it's really fun to play that hockey game with multiple people. I also have NBA Jam, again, multiple people for the Sega CD. There are some Genesis games I would like to get that would utilize this. Gauntlet 4, as well as Mega Bomberman and some others. Those are just the 2 off the top of my head I can think of. But yeah, I wanted one of these, to have the option to play more than 2-player. And so, if you want something like that, I definitely recommend one of these. They'll definitely come in handy for you. Now I'll start talking about some of my games, some of my favorites, some of my rare ones here. And so I will start with some of my faves. So, Contra, hardcore. Let's just get this off the table right now. Konami, when they finally decided, all right, we're going to support Sega, not just Nintendo, man, did they kill it on this system. This is such an awesome run and gun game, especially 2-player, but boy, is it hard. You know, be prepared to start over a lot and die a lot. This is a really tough game. I would say this is probably, if not the hardest, one of the hardest Contra games. Definitely not a beginner Contra game, but still, nevertheless, really fun, especially if you've beaten a lot of them and you're looking for a challenge. I definitely recommend Contra Hardcore. Next one, continuing with Konami, Castlevania Bloodlines. Also, another awesome entry from Konami on the Genesis. Castlevania, and it feels a little different, but the music's great. The colors and visuals are fun. It's cool because you have 2 different characters. I think it's Eric, and I'm trying to remember the other guy's name. I can't remember, unfortunately. But there's one guy who has a spear and one guy who has the traditional vampire killer whip. And so you have 2 different types of gameplay. But another awesome game. Now these 2 games, you know, they're not the most expensive thing, but they're not cheap complete. There are current day collections of these you can get. So if you want to find a cheap way to play them, you can play them that way. There's always emulation. But again, I love to play my stuff on original hardware. So got that one. Big one here. One of my all-time favorites for the system. And you know what? My buddy Brad had this. This is where I saw this. He had this. In fact, we probably played this the most. I don't know how I forgot that when I was talking about what we played at his house. We played so much of this, and I always wanted this game because I enjoyed the Turtle games on the NES. I enjoyed the Turtle games on the SNES, and this was the one that always eluded me because I never had a Sega Genesis. And I remember this was one of the first games I got because I wanted it for so long, and I was so happy when I did. I have a fun birthday I remember a couple years ago where me and my son and his brother and their cousin, you know, they were all over for my birthday, and we had a little game night, and we played through all the Turtles games. We played through Turtles 2 on NES, Manhattan Project on NES, then we jumped to this and ended with Turtles in Time, and we beat all 4 in one night, and it was so fun. But just had so much fun with this. It just, the graphics are really good, the gameplay's fun, and it's just got that 90s, late 80s Turtles look that a lot of the kids of our age grew up with. You know, this is how I always remember the Turtles. Awesome game. And one more from Konami. Gotta go with Rocket Knight Adventures. Love this game. If you guys know who Retro Bird is, he loves this game. This is a fun, you know, I wish we had more stuff come out with this kind of art style played like this. I don't see a lot of stuff like this too much anymore, but this is a super fun game. It can be pretty challenging in parts, but I highly recommend it. There's also 2 sequels, Sparkster for the Genesis and Sparkster for the Super Nintendo. I don't have those. I hope someday to get them, but currently I do not have them. But another one I recommend here. All right. Now, there's a company out there called Retrobit who puts out a lot of licensed re-released Genesis games. Now, I know I talked in the you know, PC Engine TurboGrafx video. I wasn't a fan of what PC Works is doing. Well, they're not licensed. These guys are at least licensed, and so it's official. Was super hyped when they said they're bringing out Mega Man The Wily Wars. Had to nab a copy, got one, was so happy to do it. It was finally able to experience these games. I beat all the Robot Masters, and I have save points at the Wily Castles. I gotta go back and do those. Yeah, they feel different than the NES games, but they're fun nevertheless. And it's just kind of neat to see those games in a 16-bit style with Genesis-type tunes. And the package you get here, I mean, I don't know if you guys can see all those goodies, but it comes with so much good stuff. I highly recommend this if you can still find it or see it. I know they normally limit these after their pre-order and that's it. But if you ever come across it, pick this up. All right. The next one is another one from Retrobit. And I'm just going to stand up for this one because it actually came with this shirt. Can you say Gaiaras? That's it. Great shooter, super fun, super cool artwork. I mean, it's just an awesome game. But yeah, this came with the shirt and a bunch of other goodies. And yeah, another one that I thought was really cool and was really happy to get. Again, limited because, you know, they only do the pre-orders and that's it. Sometimes you can find these, though, in a local game shop. I think that's actually where I got this one and Mega Man, the Wily Wars. For a long time, I didn't order online. I was really particular about only buying in the wild. It was fun that way. But then I started, like, there were just games I never saw. And just, you know, I finally succumbed to eBay and online purchasing. And so haven't been doing any of that now for a while with, you know, getting laid off this last month. In fact, I haven't bought a game in a long time now. But yeah, sometimes you could see these in your local game shop. So just because you can't order online, you know, maybe go peek around. It pays to get out and look around sometimes. You can get a deal or find things you wouldn't expect. Now I'll talk about a game that I enjoy. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's actually my wife's favorite. It's called Biohazard Battle. I didn't know what this was, and me and my son, so my son got her the Switch Genesis collection a while back, and it happened to have this game on it. She got so excited because it was a game she played as a little girl with her sister, and just whenever I hear the music of this game, I think of my wife, or I see the little characters. Like, there are these like little bug bird looking ships. Every time I see it, I don't know, it just makes me think of her. So I wanted to include this because it kind of means a lot to me because I know she likes this, and my wife, she's kind of hit or miss on games. Like, I think when we first met, she was more into it. But because of who I am and what I have and my tournaments, and we played a lot in the beginning, I think she's kind of turned off by it. I mean, she doesn't give me any grief or anything. She just doesn't play like she used to. So when there is something she likes like this, or she's a big fan of Golden Axe as well, it's always exciting. She also really likes Yoshi's Crafted World, but this one is special to me because she likes it. And so that's really cool. And speaking of that collection, I just want to let you guys know, you know, if you're wanting to get into the Genesis and a lot of the games it has to offer, there are so many ways right now that you can play a lot of this stuff. That Switch collection that I mentioned has a ton of games on it. I actually have the old PlayStation 3 Sonic's Ultimate Genesis collection because it's got Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles. It's got all the stuff that before Michael Jackson had passed, that the music was still there. And the fact that it has all the Shining Force games and Phantasy Star games, I mean, it has so much. To me, that's the best collection. It's just packed out. But there's stuff on the PlayStation 2. There's stuff all over the place. There's, of course, the Genesis Minis. There's the first one and the second one. I have both. I like both those systems. The second one was kind of annoying because it was kind of an online Amazon order only. But, and then of course there's the Genesis Online with Switch. And there's some pretty good titles on there if you have the expansion pack. And then I believe the Wii had Genesis games. Can't remember if the Wii U did or not. But there are ways now where you can play this stuff without having to do it on an actual Genesis. Ton of clone systems out there. One is the Mega SG, which I do have. I have that hooked up in my living room, and I'll get into that in a later video. For now, I just wanted to talk about the actual hardware and kind of what I have here. And so that's kind of the story with you know, other places you can play it. Now, some of my rarer games, I'll start with the ones that I don't know if they're really oh so rare, but one I got was Eliminate Down. This was another Retrobit release. This only came out overseas, and it was very, very limited. If you go look at how much these cost online, it's insane. And so when I saw they were going to finally bring it out here, this one I actually pre-ordered. Really fun shooter. Just shocked we didn't get this. I guess I shouldn't be, just because the genre wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't as big here as it was overseas in Japan. But this is an awesome game. If you could find this, pick this up. I don't know if this is going up in value, but I know the original is really expensive. And that's the case actually with this next one too. Another retro bit pickup, El Viento. Now we did get this here, but again, it's so expensive. So I was like, you know what? It's an official release. I'll pick it up. And so I went ahead and grabbed El Viento from Retrobit. Really fun game, really hard. Love the art style. Love the box art. The box art, this slipcover specifically, it partially sold me. I mean, it just looks awesome. Really cool stuff. And then probably my two most pricey authentic games, got to go with Ys 3. Now this game is hard to find complete in box and in nice shape like this. I rarely if ever see it. I bought this from a vendor at Classic Game Fest who he sold me a lot of my Neo Geo and a lot of my Master System games, as well as some Genesis stuff. He took really good care of his stuff, but I really wanted this game because this is actually the best version of this game in terms of gameplay. Sound, cutscenes, yes, the turbo graphics by all means. But the visuals and the actual scrolling, this is the one you want. So I wanted to have both. I wanted to have the TurboGrafx experience and this experience. And so I picked this one up, was really happy to get this. And if you've never played Ys 3, I would try to play this one if you can. TurboGrafx as well. I wouldn't play the Super Nintendo, although it is the cheapest. I think there's a reason for that. Or you can play any one of the remakes they did. Oath of Felghana, where they just pretty much redid the whole game. But something I really like about the side-scrolling nature of these are so cool. And again, I like this box art. And then the last rare one, and I remember when I picked this up, a lot of people laughed, or people may laugh, but the adventure, McDonald's Treasureland Adventure, with Ronald McDonald and Grimace. I mean, you younger folks may not know about Ronald McDonald and the Hamburglar and Birdie, but people my age, we know this because it was what McDonald's was all about. You know what? I tell you what, let me tell you a McDonald's story. We had one open up nearby my house, and I walked in there, and it was depressing. And the reason I say that is yeah, there were some people in the lobby, but everything was automated. There was all these kiosks. I think there was one register, and no one was manning it at all. Like, everybody was in this different part where they were doing the drive-thrus. What has society come where we are not communicating and being social with each other? Like, it's all about the dollar and money now, and it's so sad. Like, I saw that McDonald's, and I remember back the McDonald's I grew up with the playground and the colorful inside. The inside of this place was not colorful. The friendly staff, the drink fountain area. I remember even having a birthday at McDonald's years ago, probably the late 80s. And it was a good time. You had the ice cream and the food. And this place was a far cry from what I remember. And I'm not a big McDonald's goer at all. I try to eat somewhat healthy. And so I don't go there. But when I walked in, I was just flabbergasted. Like, what are we doing as a society? It's really sad. If I ever opened up a restaurant, it would be the exact opposite of what I saw with that McDonald's. Like, let's welcome people. You want to get out of your house to have a nice time, be in a good place, not sit in something like that. So anyway, just a tangent there. But this is actually a fun game. Treasure. I believe this was Treasure's first game. I believe Sega handed this to them. and this was kind of their project for whether they could do, oh gosh, what is the really good game they do? Their shooter. I don't have the game, but I want it. Gunstar Heroes. Definitely want to find that one someday and pick that one up. I've seen it before, but there's always something else I want more. But this and that kind of released around the same time, and when Sega saw like how far along they were and how good this game was turning out, they greenlighted them, even though they were already making it. This was kind of a necessary evil to get that game out, but surprisingly, a really good game. I put this in for my son, and he loved it. Played it for a long time. I've played it for a good amount. But yeah, these two are probably my most valuable, authentic games outside of the retro bit stuff, excuse me. And so, with that, that is kind of my history with this machine. Really great system. You know, competed with the TurboGrafx and the Super Nintendo primarily, even the NES at the end of its life, because let's be honest, until Sonic came out, it really didn't pick up. Nintendo was still kind of beating it in those early years. It did overtake the TurboGrafx, though, except in Japan. Japan, the Genesis did not do well at all. They were ready to move on, and I think they were pretty jealous of America with how Tom Kalinske did with this system and the marketing. But with that being said, I guess we'll do a little bit of Aladdin and get you guys out of here. How's that sound? All right. So again, this game is kind of hard. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to do the first level here. And just to let you guys know how I'm playing this, it's with the Genesis 2 HD Retrovision cables. This or the Super Nintendo were the first two systems that I got those for, because that's what they came out for originally. And I remember when I got this system originally, I played it on a flat screen TV, and man, this is hard to play so close. And it was so washed out and did not look good on those composite cables. One thing about the Genesis is it has some of the worst composite video signal you'll ever see. I mean, you really got to play it on a CRT if you want to use composite, because it just looks awful. And there, I missed that. Man, I'm not doing too well. But my God, wow, I keep sliding right off that thing. When I saw this with the HD Retrovision cables, it looked incredible. Let's see if I can actually stay on here this time. There we go. And so yeah, so that's how I did it, or how I played it. Sorry, I'm not doing too well, so I'm like trying to focus on the game now a little bit. I'm gonna just focus for a little while. Well, how do I get up there? Maybe I gotta go this way. I don't even know. Oh, there we go. All right, well, see if we can make that. It's kind of far. Well, I died. I do like that death animation, though. It's funny. So, anyways, guys, I appreciate y'all hanging out, indulging me with another video. That was the Sega Genesis. Feel free and leave any memories you have. And as always, any feedback. Thanks, guys, and we'll catch y'all next time.